Hey guys, Katie here bringing you my Booktube-A-Thon 2014 wrap-up video. I can't believe it is already over. I am already having slight withdrawals, and despite the fact that I said I was going to take a little bit of a break from reading, my brain is already telling me I should possibly read some more. So I'm probably going to actually get right back into reading. Like I said before in my last video, I'm continuing with my reread of City of Fallen Angels so that I can get to City of Heavenly Fire soon, hopefully. So that is what I will be reading next in case anyone was interested. So I am going to basically wrap up for you what I read throughout Booktube-A-Thon and the challenges that I completed with those books. I will tell you what I rated them as well as a little bit about what I thought about the books. So just to restate, in case you haven't seen my past videos, I read 1,660 pages out of all of the Booktube-A-Thon time frame, and I completed 6 out of 7 of the challenges. The only challenge that I did not complete being the 300 pages a day average / 7 books challenge. I came so close, guys, so close. 5 full-length novels and 1 short story, which for Booktube-A-Thon counted as 6 books, so I came so close. I still am really happy with what I did. With only one exception, I actually stuck to my TBR pile, which is pretty amazing because if I remember correctly, the last Booktube-A-Thon I changed quite a bit because I picked up books and decided not to continue with them if they didn't draw my interest right away. And despite the fact that I had one book during this challenge that didn't draw any of my interest for over 100 pages, I still stuck with it, and I'm really glad that I did because it feels kind of amazing to actually get through your TBR pile, to say, this is what I'm going to read, and then actually read it. I'm not used to doing that, so that was pretty awesome. So without further ado, I'm going to present to you the 6 stories that I read throughout Booktube-A-Thon. The first book that I read was Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins, which I gave a 5 out of 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I went and purchased Demon Glass to read sometime in the near future because I just thought it was that good that I need to continue with the series right away. I loved it. I would say that if you like any books about magical creatures with fantasy and a little suspense, supernatural stuff, read it. If you liked Harry Potter, you might enjoy it because they are at a school for magical beings. So that's kind of my comparison to a popular book out there. I really enjoyed it, and I do definitely suggest checking this book out. Hex Hall also completed the read a book that someone else chose for you, as my mom chose that book for me to read this Booktube-A-Thon. The second book that I read was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, and I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. While I enjoyed the uniqueness of Ransom Riggs' voice, the incorporation of the pictures, and the uniqueness of the story, it wasn't exactly my style story, and it didn't exactly leave me wanting to continue with the series, so I'm not sure, I'm up in the air about that. But the fact that his voice was so unique and the fact that the story was so unique made me give him a good rating for this book, and definitely makes me want to suggest this book to you guys, because just because the story wasn't my style doesn't mean it won't be yours, and you're missing out if you don't at least check out his uniqueness. I do suggest that you give it at least a little over 100 pages before you give up on it, because it doesn't pick up for a little over 100 pages, which is a little bit of a put off at first, but it does pick up, I promise, and you might be really happy that you stuck with it. Something that I thought was really amazing about this book was that he was able to incorporate really old antique pictures with a story and make it work. The way he was able to blend those two things, I had never seen anyone do that before, and I thought it was pretty amazing. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children completed my Read a Book with Pictures challenge. The third book that I read was The Titan's Curse by Rick Riordan, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. This book completed my Read a Book in the genre you've read least this year. I can't really give you too much on what I thought of this book because if you haven't read the first 2, then I might spoil something for you. I will just say if you like supernatural, if you like humor, if you like snarky characters, if you like mythology, you will probably love it. Once again, I could probably compare it to things like Harry Potter because it's kind of aimed in some ways to the same audience. You'll find them both in the children's section, but they can relate to adults just as easily, so I would go check it out. Rick Riordan is an amazing writer, and I just love his books so much. The fourth book that I read, completing the Read a Book with Red on the Cover challenge, was Anna Dressed in Blood by Kinder Blake, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed this book for so many reasons. It was different than what I normally read, as it's not exactly a fantasy. It is a horror, technically, genre-wise. It is suspenseful, it is scary, it is a ghost story. I love it so much. Shenanigans ensue, all sorts of stuff ensues, but I am not going to spoil it for you, so I would just say, go read it. The thing that I really loved about this book is the nostalgia. It was like, oh, my childhood, which probably sounds messed up looking at this cover to say that I felt like it was my childhood. But let me explain. Growing up, I loved Goosebumps when I was younger, and then I loved Fear Street when I was a tween/teen by R.L. Stine. I loved his stuff and Secret, but I still own some of his like movies and stuff because I loved him, and I can watch his stuff or read his stuff and it feels like my childhood again. So this book reminded me of if the Fear Street series by R.L. Stine got together with the TV show Supernatural and they made a baby. That is what it is. It was like childhood meets adulthood blended. Beautiful. I loved it so much. So next I read Girl of Nightmares, also by Kendare Blake, which completed the start and finish a series since it is the second book in the Anna series. It's a duology, so this was it, and that is how I completed that challenge. I gave Girl of Nightmares 4 out of 5 stars because I did not enjoy it as much as Anna Dressed in Blood. Once again, like with the Titan's Curse, I can't really give you a lot of details about where I felt things, what I felt about it, because I might spoil both that and Anna Dressed in Blood for you, but I'll just say I didn't like it as much, but check it out. It's a good duology, and it does wrap things up. It is not one of those that leaves things super hanging, which drives me insane. So I'm really glad that everything was wrapped up, and overall I enjoyed it. When you combine them, that's 9 out of 10 stars, so I gave this duology an A, which is good, so I enjoyed it. And lastly was the one change that I made to my TBR pile. Where originally Vampire Academy was on the top of the pile, or rather the bottom of the pile, for my read and watch a book to movie adaptation, as yesterday wore on, I realized that was just not probable. So I made a quick alteration and got a little bit creative and ended up reading Crouch End by Stephen King. It is in the Nightmares and Dreamscapes series. This is a huge book, but Crouch End is only 27 pages. I gave Crouch End 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed it, and I enjoy the movie version of it, which I've seen about 100 times now. They're just not my normal style, so I rated them like it, not love it, not super duper like, but I did enjoy it, and we're talking 27 pages or 45 minutes to watch it. So you're really not gonna waste much time if you just check one or both of these out. So I would definitely suggest it, especially if you're a Stephen King fan and you haven't gotten around to either of them yet. It's spooky in Stephen King's normal fashion. So that was my Booktube-A-Thon 2014, and it was amazing. I enjoyed it so much. I can't believe that there's another year before we get to have another one. But I know there's readathons along the way to keep me tided over, and I hope that I will see some of you guys at those other readathons. I will see you guys in my videos and your videos around YouTube and the Twitterverse. In the next few weeks or so, I will be putting up book reviews on my blog, so I will link that down below if you guys want to go check out a more in-depth review of what I thought of each of the books that I read during Booktube-A-Thon, as well as what I think of books that I've read in the past and in the future. Thank you for checking out my video and sticking with me through the Booktube-A-Thon. Congrats on all the reading you did, you crazy bookworms, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye!